Welcome to Tradutex Portuguese Lessons Podcast. Olá, eu sou a Helena, and on today's episode we'll carry on talking about the possible translations for the verb to be. On the previous episode, we've talked about the verb to be as the verb ser. I've explained to you that the verb ser is the most permanent to be we have. So when we think about to be, and I'm saying I am, you are, he is, she is, etc., we have in Portuguese two possible verbs to translate this only idea in English of to be. On the previous episode, we've explored the verb ser. The verb ser is for the situations that are much harder to change. We sometimes say it's the permanent to be. It's not totally permanent because some situations we can actually change. The secret is, as I explained before, that if you think that it's something that it is hard to change, that it's hard to get back to what it was in the beginning, so it's more permanent. And you can listen to episode number 9 again and see with me again how do we conjugate the verb and when do we use it. And on this episode, we're going to focus completely on the more temporary to be. So the more temporary to be is in Portuguese the verb estar. Estar. I will tell you how do we write it, how do we spell it. In English is E-S-T-A-R, and em português é E-S-T-A-R. I'll repeat, E-S-T-A-R. But although it starts with the E-S, or in Portuguese E-S, we still need to do a soft sound sh in the beginning, completely ignoring the first vowel. So the right pronunciation for this verb is estar. Estar. Okay, we start with a soft sh, we ignore the vowel in the beginning. And estar is the idea of to be for things that we can actually easily change. So for instance, let me give you some examples. For instance, where are you at the moment? If I say I am home, for instance, or I am at school, or I am in the supermarket, so I have to use the verb estar, because where we are, it's actually quite easy to change. I am here now, then I go there. It's easy like that. So if I want to say I'm home, in Portuguese I say estou em casa. Estou, I am, in casa, house. Estou em casa. So this is valid for people because we're quite movable, or for objects, if objects that we can actually move around. Okay, for instance, your car, or a chair, or a pencil, a mug, a book, whatever thing that you can actually move around easily. So for that type of situations is the verb estar that we need. Another context for the verb estar, it's when it comes to health. In general, our health changes throughout our lives. So if I'm sick today, maybe I'm better tomorrow. Or if I was sick yesterday, maybe I'm okay today. So every time we talk about health conditions is the verb estar we use. So I'm sick is estou doente. Estou, I am, doente, sick. Estou doente. So remember to talk about health, and health in Portuguese is saúde. Saúde. To talk about saúde, we need the verb estar. So, and not only for health, but any physical state and condition, the verb estar is the one we should use, is the appropriate one. So if you're hungry, if you're thirsty, if you're tired, if you're sleepy, if you're cold, if you're hot, all those things are quite easy to change. Okay, so it's the verb estar, because if you're hungry, you can eat. And if you're thirsty, you can drink. And if you're tired, you can rest. So you got the idea, right? So for physical states and conditions, the verb estar is the right one. Also for emotional states, we can understand that if I'm very happy today, maybe I won't be that happy tomorrow, or maybe I wasn't yesterday. Or if I'm sad. So any emotional state varies. So again, the verb estar is the one to use. What about the weather? The weather is totally changeable, isn't it? It's never the same. It changes every day. We never know exactly what we'll have the next day. So obviously the weather, and the weather in Portuguese is the word tempo. It's a funny one because tempo means both weather and time. Tempo. And to talk about tempo, it's definitely the verb estar. So if I want to say it's cold, está frio. Está frio. So if I want to say it's hot, está calor. Está calor. So the weather, o tempo, verbo estar. And then there are some little grammar points where we also use the verb estar. For instance, for using progressive tenses, like the present continuous in English, for ongoing actions, things like I am speaking now, I am doing this, he is running, she is learning, we are studying. So for that type of tenses of ongoing actions, it's always the verb estar that we use, not the verb ser. For instance, on our third episode, on our third episode, we've learned some useful expressions we can use in Portuguese, and one of those expressions I taught you was I am learning Portuguese. Don't know if you still remember this. I am learning Portuguese. And to say I am learning, we go estou a aprender, and the verb to learn is the verb aprender. When we do the preposition a plus the verb aprender together, we get the ing effect, the gerund in English, for this ongoing actions, for this continuous tense. So I am learning, estou a aprender português. Estou a aprender português. So we can't do this type of tenses with the verb ser. We have to do it with the verb estar, and that's just a grammar point we need to remember. Okay, so now we've covered some of the most important context for the verb estar. Of course that we've learned this since the very beginning, since episode 1, when we've learned how do we ask, how are you? Remember? Como está? Como está? And then how do we reply to this? I'm fine. Estou bem. Estou bem. The reason why we're using está instead of so the reason why we're using the verb estar instead of the verb ser is because when we want to tell people about how do we feel, it's always a variable situation. Today, I am okay. Tomorrow, I'm not sure. Yesterday, I wasn't feeling that good. So it varies constantly, and that's why we're picking this one instead of the verb ser. Okay, so now let's focus on the verb itself. On the previous episode, I've told you all about the personal pronouns. If you still remember, the words for I, you, he, she. So I'll just go through that again with you just once again, so to refresh your memory. Eu, that is I, eu. Tu is the informal you, the one we use with our friends and family or people much younger than us. Tu. Você is our formal you, the one we use with basically everyone else. Você. Ele, that is he. Ele. Ela, that's she. Ela. Nós, we. Vocês, That's the plural you. It doesn't matter now if you know the people or not. We only have one plural you. It means it's like if you're thinking you guys, if you're talking to more than one person, to a group, to 2, 3, 4 people. So vocês, vocês. And then to say they, we have two options, a masculine one, eles, and a feminine one, elas. Eles, elas. We use elas, the feminine one, if you're just talking about ladies, and we use eles if you're talking about men or a mixed group of men and women together. And now that we've revised this, and this is clear in your head, let's put these words, these personal pronouns, along with the verb estar in the present tense. So how do we say I am in a more temporary way? I am is eu estou. Eu estou. Eu estou. You are informal. Tu estás. Tu estás. Tu estás. I've told you this before on the previous episode, and this will be something you always need to remember. In order to have the informal you, the to form, all the verb forms in the present tense will end at S. And when we have S at the end of the word, it's always pronounced like a sh. That's why you get the estás. In this case, sh in the beginning, because it starts with es, es. We drop the e and we start with a sh, and then sh at the end because it ends at s. So you are informal, tu estás. Você está. Você está. That's the you are formal. This is the one we use in how are you? Como está? If you want to be formal. If you want to be informal, you go como estás? Talking to a friend, for instance. Como estás? But if you want to go formal, drop that S, so drop the sound sh. Como está? Como está? That's the one from the você. And now we have the same está will be the one we use for você, but also for ele and ela. So he is, ele está. Ele está. Ele está. She is, ela está. Ela está. Ela está. So a simple sentence. Imagine I want to say he is here. Here is the word aqui. So to say he is here, I just need to say ele está aqui. Slowly, devagar, ele está aqui. Ele está aqui. And now running the words together, ele está aqui. The same thing for she is here. Ela está aqui. Ela está aqui. Let's run the three words together. Ela está aqui. Ela está aqui. So don't forget, we always have the same verb form for você, formal you, ele, he, ela, she. Now let's do we are. Nós estamos. There's a lot of sh's on this one because nós ends at s, and that's why we do the sound sh. But then estamos starts with es, or in Portuguese es, and that's why we start with the sound sh. So if you split the words, we have nós estamos. But if you run them together, you get nós estamos. So you can get one sh instead of two. I'll repeat, instead of saying nós estamos, that it is correct, but it doesn't flow very well, you can put them together with just one sh and you get nós estamos. Also, don't forget to do your sh at the end too, because the verb ends at OS, or in Portuguese, OS. Nós estamos. So, if you want to say we are okay, we are well, nós estamos bem. If you want to say we are here, nós estamos aqui. Okay, let's carry on and let's see how do we say plural you. Think about like you guys, yous. So it's the you that you use to talk to more than one person. And that word is vocês. And of course you're guessing it's the same situation. Vocês ends at S. So we do the sh. And then estão, the verb form we need, starts with ES. So we do the sh. So if we do them very slowly, muito devagar, we have vocês estão. Vocês estão. At the end we have this very typical Portuguese diphthong, nasal, A-O, with a til on the A. A til is that accent that goes like a little wave. And when you have that, we do the sound ão. Close your lips at the end. Ão. So the verb is estão. And if you want to say it slowly, you go vocês estão. But if you run them together, you do vocês estão. Just one sh is enough. Vocês estão. You are here. You guys are here. Vocês estão aqui. You are well. Vocês estão bem. Vocês estão aqui. Vocês estão bem. And the same way I told you that você, ele, ela, so formal you singular, he and she always use the same verb form. Also the vocês, plural you, eles, masculine they, elas, feminine they, also always use the same verb form. So if I want to say you guys are here, I go vocês estão aqui. And if I want to say they are here, they being a group just of men or a mixed group of men and women, I say eles estão aqui. So the same estão verb form for both situations. So they are here, eles estão aqui. And again, eles, we have S at the end, we do a sh. Estão, we start with a sh. If you go slowly, eles estão. If you run it together, eles estão. Eles estão. Just one sh is enough. And finally, with the same exact verb form of the previous two, vocês and eles, we have now elas, feminine they. Elas estão. Elas estão. Elas estão. Again, the same situation. If you say them apart, you get two sh's. Elas estão. If you run it together, elas estão. They are here, just the ladies. Elas estão aqui. They are well. Elas estão bem. Okay, now let's just go through each one of them slowly so you can repeat after me. Eu estou. Tu estás. Você está. Ele está. Ela está. Nós estamos. Vocês estão. Eles estão. Elas estão. Muito obrigada e até breve. Tchau!